Hi guys, this is my instant match reaction to the Tottenham Hotspur 3, Bodo Glimt 1. European huge night for Tottenham, Europa League semi-final first leg. I have to say my instinct is it's a worrying scoreline. I think 3 goals, and we were 3 up for the majority of the game, but 3 goals would have been the comfortable one to take, or more comfortable one to take to the Arctic Circle. The stats are very good for Bodo Glimt. They've won all of their Europa League knockout games this season by 2 goals at home. They will take a 2-goal deficit back home. And it's all, I'm afraid, about the fact that Tottenham lost concentration with about 10 minutes to go. And we let them into their box. And all game, when they did get into our final third, which we didn't allow them to do that much, all game, they were good at playing little 1-2s and little balls around the corner and looked half dangerous, I would say. And then we let it happen and they got a deflection from a shot. They hardly had any shots. But the thing is, and I don't know whether right now this is a good thing or a bad thing, Spurs completely were subservient, possession-wise, to Bodo Glimt tonight. And it's almost like we're kind of readied ourselves to play the way it will be in Bodo in tonight's game. Because we got a very early goal, first-minute goal, brilliant stuff, got the fans going, got our way to 2-3-0 up. But the whole game, after getting that first goal, we just let Bodo Glimt have the majority of possession. And sure, a lot of it was amongst their back four. Of course it was. And that meant that that was because Spurs were in a good shape. But next week, when it's on a plastic pitch that is going to be so much faster, so much better for them, that is going to be difficult. And I'm telling you, their fans are happy with it. Their coach is applauding the fans. He's giving it a fist bump. He's done this saying, we know. They are happy with that. They've literally gone into that game knowing that if they only lose by 2 goals, they are ecstatic with that. They've got their best player back next week and suspensions. They are cheering it. And it's a worry for Spurs. Now, listen, do I think Tottenham will make chances in Bodo? Yes, I do. So having that 2-goal cushion will be good. But we know it with Tottenham. We've seen it where we've lost European games from 3 goals up before. We are in a dangerous position. We had a chance tonight to put it to bed. And one thing I will say, listen, we lost momentum in that game because injuries came our way. We lost Bergvall before the game. That, of course, will affect us, but I'll talk about Bissouma more later. He was brilliant. But then Solanke and Maddison both went off and we lost our rhythm. And obviously now there'll be a worry as to whether Solanke and Maddison, and I think it's very unlikely that Bergvall will be fit next week, but whether any of them will be fit for next week's game. And honestly, we looked bereft. We looked lost without Solanke up front. What we were doing brilliantly in that kind of first 65, 70 minutes before Solanke went off was not just being one-dimensional Tottenham, not just trying to get to the byline and cut balls back, but also playing mid-range balls over the top. That's how Maddison scored his brilliant goal. A great ball from Porro over the top. Maddison made a run from deep. Great first touch, round the keeper, puts it bottom left. But we didn't have anything after those players went off. So not only were we subservient in possession, but we then weren't really making huge chances. There was a chance right at the end for Kulusevski, turned onto his right foot. I don't know how close it was, but it went wide. And I have to say, listen, I'm a Spurs fan of many, many decades now, and I am nervous about this. I am nervous about it. But we're 2 goals up, and in any other situation, you'd be ecstatic at that. 2 goals up after a first leg of a tie, 3-1 where there's no away goals, you would be ecstatic about it. So I've got to give the credit. Ange, he set us up right. We were in a good shape. We defended well apart from that one instance. In fact, 2 instances. One at the very end of the first half and one with 10 minutes to go in the second half. First half, we let Bentancur let a man come across him when a cross came in and it went just over the bar, and then the goal, which deflected off Bentancur. But no shade on Bentancur. He had a great game as well, sweeping up. And these players have shown that they really want it. They want to put the effort in. But now we have to again worry about the injuries. We do have to worry about the injuries. I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about the 3-1 win. Brennan Johnson got an important goal. I was worried about him starting, but he got an important goal at the back post in the first minute. He is vital in terms of his goal scoring, but again, slightly absent in the rest of the game. He didn't do badly, but just not really there. I don't know. I'm nervous about it. I'll go through the team. Vicario didn't have much to do, didn't have a chance with the goal, didn't have to make a single save in the game. Pedro Porro, I thought, was excellent. Mind you, just showing there, Man United have won 3-0 at Bilbao in that first leg, so they are pretty much nailed on for the final of the Europa League. That final that will be in Bilbao. So Porro, I'm going to give a 7.5. I thought he played brilliantly. Van de Ven and Romero, I thought they were excellent. I'm going to give them both 7.5s. Udogie, I thought was a bit better. I'm going to give him an 8. I thought he was outstanding, up and down all game. And you can definitely see why Big Ange chooses Udogie over Spence in these big games, because Udogie is now back to his best. Midfield, I said I'd talk about Bissouma. That was his best game in a Spurs shirt by absolutely miles. He did everything that I've been talking about that Bissouma can do, how he does the hard things so easily. It all comes so easily to him. Moussa Dembele-like in his control of the ball, in his ability to get a foot in where necessary, winning the ball back time and time again. For me, Miles, his best game in a Spurs shirt. I'm going to give him a 9. Alongside him, like I said, Bentancur, I'll give an 8. I thought he worked his nuts off back and forward all game. Really fantastic performance from him. And Maddison got his goal, fantastic run, and before he came off was just conducting things. And I said it during the watch along and I'll say it again. When Kulusevski comes into that 10 role, Spurs are not as good at keeping the ball because he has an unwillingness to come deep and get it. He wants to be just in that 10 role. But I think arguably when Maddison went off injured today, what we needed was Kulusevski to drop in and say, actually, I'll come and pick the ball up and keep the ball amongst kind of in our half and draw Bodo Glimt out to us so then there are spaces in behind, but he didn't. And he, as a result, when Kulusevski came on, I don't think he was in the game. He just wasn't in the game at all. And so I'll give Kulusevski, I'm afraid, only like a 5.5 when he came on. But Maddison, I will give an 8. I thought he was excellent before he went off injured. And we can but hope that them taking Maddison and Solanke off straight away when they felt little injuries was precautionary as much as anything else. We were 3-0 up at the time, and it was, even though it lost us our momentum in the game and probably in the end might have been responsible for us not getting another goal or maybe even for us conceding that goal, if they can both play in that game in Glimt next week, in Bodo next week, then it will have been worth them coming off because they're vital to us. So fingers crossed. I do hold out more hope for them being available for that game than I do for Lucas Bergvall, who was shown tonight on crutches and with a protective boot on his right foot. The only positive I can find in that is that if it's on his right foot, then it's not his standing foot, which is where all the pressure goes through when you're passing or taking shots. And then in terms of the forward line, I'll give Johnson a 7, I guess, because he scored the goal, but it would have been 6 otherwise. Solanke, I thought, was excellent. Scored his penalty. And I'll give him a 9 because he just worked doggies. And in fact, when he went off and Tell went up front, it showed the amount of work that Solanke does. The kind of work that a lot of Spurs fans who've been giving him shit do not realise is so vital to the possibility of us playing this football at a good level. And then in terms of wide left, who did we play wide left? Richarlison started the game. Sorry, it was a long time ago and he got taken off at half time. Richarlison played really well. And do you know what? I would start him wide left next week as well. He really put himself about. His header was responsible for the goal in the first minute. And he showed a physicality that, again, we really lost when he and Solanke went off the pitch. And that is a physicality that I feel we will need in that second leg. So well played, Richarlison. I'm going to give him a 7.5. In terms of the other substitutes who came on, Odebear didn't really get in the game. I'd have to give him a 6. So listen, maybe it sounds a bit negative and I apologise for that. However, we are 3-1 up and, it could have gone a lot worse. We controlled the game without having a lot of the possession. They never made a lot of chances, but like I said, you saw enough in those little intricate bits of play, where, especially with 1-2s. They just love 1-2s. And they play the pass from deep and the runner goes. And Tottenham didn't do well enough. And it is hard to run with a runner when you're defending a 1-2. But they do it endlessly at their home ground. Absolutely endlessly. And they get themselves into those box positions that they only did literally twice in the game tonight, over and over again at home. It is relentless. I watched that Lazio game. It is relentless. However, that is the negative side. The positive side is they also give up chances at home as well. So Tottenham will make chances and we're going to have to be clinical because without a doubt, Bodo Glimt will score next week. Without a doubt. So Tottenham are going to have to score to try and keep that 2-goal cushion. And it could, in my opinion, and will, I think, get very dicey next week. This is Tottenham. What do we expect? Of course it's going to get dicey. It's never going to be easy. At 3-0, we could have got a 4th and a 5th and made this simple, like Manchester United have done at Atletico Bilbao. But we haven't. We've conceded a stupid goal, and as a result, it's going to be stressful. It's going to be dicey. It's going to be Tottenham, but we are ahead, and that is the key thing. And when it's shown again that Big Ange has shown again that when he has his first team out on the pitch or close to his first team, they don't have to play one-dimensionally. They play a way that makes it difficult for the opposition. But the problem is that when he's got injuries, the drop-off is so enormous. And we saw it today in the last 10 minutes, the last 15 minutes, the last 20 minutes. After Solanke and Maddison went off, the drop-off, huge. And it's a belief drop-off as well. They didn't believe that they could control that game in the same way anymore. And that is what led to the goal. So first and foremost, we've got to hope that Maddison and Solanke are fit next week. I don't think Bergvall will be. I guess there's a chance that Sonny could be, and that could be a positive, because I think Sonny is the kind of big-name player who the Bodo Glimt team will worry about, and maybe worry about more than they should do based on his form, and maybe they'll double up on him, and that would allow us to have a bit more space elsewhere. So that, for me, is my big hope going into next week's game. But it was a 3-1 win. We've done the business. Not as great as it could or maybe should have been, but we're ahead. And it should be enough, but it's going to be very difficult next week. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Please do like this video if you haven't already. Please do subscribe to the channel. And, of course, as ever, come on, you Spurs.